Hello, my name is T and welcome to 8-Bit Bones. With this year's E3 Resident Evil demo circulating around the globe like a hype train travelling in the shadow of Silent Hill's playable demo, the series seems to be returning to horror finally. The demo has a sense of atmosphere and creepiness that has been absent in the latest major releases in this apparent horror franchise. Resident Evil's impressive library of titles under its iconic series is vast. Just to give you an idea of what we're dealing with here, you have Resident Evil 1, 2, 3, Resident Evil 4, 5 and 6, Resident Evil 0, Code Veronica, Outbreak, Outbreak 2, Darkside Chronicles, Raccoon City, Revelations 1 and 2, The Mercenaries, Dead Aim, all but to name a few. Yet somehow this new experience is only the 7th game. Interesting. However, what it lacks in consistency it strangely makes up for with wild experimentation, the likes of which leave me pondering whether a new IP would have been a cleaner way to adapt to industry trends. I honestly don't know if these Capcom games actually know what direction they're going for anymore. It's been a survival horror game, an action spectacle, an on-rail shooter, an online team-based third-person multiplayer, and a handheld cluster of mercenary missions and an episodic blender of escort missions. Resident Evil's identity seems to be in an ongoing conflict with the irrational genre twisting the designers disguise as innovation. Now please don't get me wrong, I'm not against gaming icons trying new ideas. My love for the work Nintendo does on their games is based around this idea of challenging conventions and pushing concepts to the limit of possibilities. Sometimes the risk pays off. However, in cases like Resident Evil 6, I find it's like watching your childhood drown under the weight of the game's own self-righteous ego. But now let's consider Resident Evil's more humble beginnings. The original 1996 classic was my first introduction into interactive horror experiences, and though back then Chris Redfield was animated essentially as an assortment of various shaped angles and cubes, the game was still impactful. The constant concerns of ammo and health, the mansion's eerie tone, the fixed camera angles and rigid controls, all assembled to panic-perfect reactions to even the subtlest of environmental changes. The HD version of these older games added to these subtleties. Until of course a hound smashes through the window and scares the living shit out of you. The second game was ideal as a sequel, more of the same but bigger. Later installments steadily intensified the experiences and graphically upgraded each title's attempt at clambering through a story that scarcely manages to suspend disbelief. Long enough for you to believe the zombie threat was real at least. Then Capcom placed one of their most fearfully adored products into an explosion of worldwide distribution. Hollywood carved a chunky piece out of that, portraying an action-crammed, bullet-blasting, zombie-killing slaughter film, never once capturing the sensations experienced in the game the film was based on. But instead it did its own thing and valued little from the source material. Then the game somehow followed Hollywood's unfaithful example, creating more action-focused experiences. People have mixed opinions about Resident Evil 4, it was the start of the downfall, the beginning of what would become the disaster that was Resident Evil 6, but I'm on the side that loved that game. The slow-paced suspense horror I was used to suddenly became a panicky, reactive hell ride, composed under stunning visual designs, but dampened slightly by enduring an irritating companion. I enjoyed the game, but I was left wondering, is this a Resident Evil game? How much does that really matter when you think about it? It was a good game in its own right. Should the title diminish the art due to unfulfilled expectations? Other new IPs had spawned from Capcom's little rabbit hole of adventuring, such as 2001's Devil May Cry. And during that process, Resident Evil's gameplay evolved in a way that almost changed its species. I liked the new experience, and remnants of the horror in earlier titles echoes in its tone. The invisible bugs, the chainsaw-wielding madmen, the heavy-breathing regenerators, revealing the scary seed from which this flower has grown. Then the fifth one happened. The only thing that horrified me in that experience was my constant AI companion never leaving me the fuck alone. At every minute, within every single act of heroic glory, I wanted to kill her. I hate her so much that she shall not be named. Having partners really changed the gameplay and could have been an interesting concept to incorporate into an action game, but I didn't feel that this is where it belonged. At least from my perspective, I felt the series was lost in that moment. The less said about 6, the better. Glimpses of Resident Evil's legacy appears in games like Resident Evil Revelations, which embodied creepier environments and focused some sections on the terror of suspense. This new E3 demo has got a lot to offer, with a slower pace, creepier atmospheres, all littered with hidden insights and disturbing encounters. It looks like the new Resident Evil is going to offer horror lovers the scare they've craved. My only concern is that the game will become some sort of walking simulator, like Layers of Fear, and become lost as a forgettable jump scare mashup. With a series like Resident Evil that has gone through so many identities and changed its approach so many times, it's hard to predict how the next installment will impact the genre. For now, we have the demo and the potential its presence beckons. Well, that's it for now. I just want to thank you for watching the video. If you enjoyed what you saw and it entertained you, please do leave a like and subscribe. You've been listening to T from 8-Bit Bones. To live is to play. I'll catch you next time, player. Fuck yes.